Welcome to the Open Mobile Summit. We're pleased to be joined by Jan Uddenfeldt. He is a senior advisor to the Chief Technology Officer at Sony. And Jan, thanks so much for joining us. Please give us just a brief mention and description of your role at Sony, if you would.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I'm currently the senior advisor to the CTO of Sony. And my background is I was previously the CTO for Sony Mobile, and I actually came from Ericsson, so I was the CTO for Ericsson for many years. And what I currently do is to really advise the Sony executive team regarding wireless and mobile technologies.
All right. We're talking about sort of smartphones, the evolution, what's next, even though we're still fully adopting smartphones, and we talk about only about 50% of the addressable market right now is in smartphones. You're looking at it, though, from Sony's perspective as being the center of consumer electronics, which is Sony's business. So how does it become more central, and where do you see it playing out from here?
Yeah, I think, of course, the Sony Xperia line is very, very big and growing business for Sony today. And I think the next step, as we call beyond smartphones, really means that we can have the smartphone as being the centerpiece for consumer electronics. Mm-hmm. And that really means that things, it can control things like displays, TVs, and cameras and games and so on, so you can actually have the same experience across the screens, for instance. And all of these things require pretty advanced software to work in a great way.
Right.
And of course, we have a lot of cloud technology that we can utilize for this. But the main thing is to get the user experience and the products to be aligned. So basically, the smartphone is a perfect vehicle to change the consumer electronics.
Are we there yet?
No, we're not there yet. But of course, even right now, it's a big step. Sony has today what we call One Touch, which is a technology that you can communicate directly between devices, and you use NFC to kick it off. This can be wireless or Bluetooth. I mean, the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. But basically.
And how does it work?
So we have like 60 products today that can do this. So of course it got started. Well, the way it works is, for instance, if you have a smartwatch, which I have here,
okay,
and you got a phone. Basically, when you get this from the store, you just do like this, and you get it started. So then you get everything up here, and you get it started.
So it automatically syncs together.
It automatically syncs. You don't have to worry about menus and stuff. And then when you're up and running, it just communicates via Bluetooth. So then they know each other, so to speak.
Right.
And we can do that with loudspeakers, displays, and everything.
So you just get close enough, and it communicates together, and then you're off and running.
So that's just the start of it, of course. And
so that's you getting rid of the cord clutter.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, the whole thing is to have a user experience that is really nice, and it has to be convenient. And of course, I mean, Sony is a really entertainment-based company. But of course, wearables is the other important area as well.
Yeah, of course. And I want to take it home. We're talking about PlayStation, movies, songs. With the smartphone, will that be sort of the key to unlock all of your data? If you go to a friend's house or you go somewhere else, do you carry around this information? Is that where you're going? You're talking about being the center of it.
Yeah, well, you can have the cloud. I mean, you can have the cloud, right? So you can have most of it in the cloud, but you can definitely do these things across devices, and not only in your own home, but also when you come to other people. Yes.
And so the phone sort of is your gateway to get there. The key to unlock all of your own personal data.
Yeah.
And what about with the wearables? Would that be a potential substitute, or will the phone still be the driver and the main?
Yeah, I mean, wearables is basically accessories, I would say, for quite a time. And I mean, like a smartwatch is, of course, this is the third generation of watches that Sony has. Mm-hmm. So, but still, it's the early days for this technology, and it has to rely on the smartphone. And of course, there are other things that you need, like headsets we had for a very long time. But I mean, Sony is also releasing new products like attachable camera lenses. So you can actually put a lens on this kind of phone, and you can use it like an ordinary camera on this. I mean, you put a lens here,
right,
and then you can actually take photos, and you get the zoom technology from that. So
it's being controlled by the smartphone.
Yeah. So a lot of these things are kind of happening, but still, it's just early days. At this stage, this is the centerpiece. then eventually, if it goes away, well, we will see. We have to invent a lot of good things in order to make that happen.
Yeah, such as the wearables you hear about, maybe the wearable phone where maybe it attaches to your ear, or there's some other device. Maybe you're Dick Tracy talking into the watch. I mean, where do you see it going next?
You can do that, but I mean, you need a big display as well somehow, right? So I mean, the display and the input, you can do voice control, but you don't want to do that when you sit in a classroom or whatever.
Yeah.
So you still need a good input from a big screen.
So there's still limitations, and
of course.
We're still stuck with the screens at least for a while.
I think so.
Yeah. Do you see Sony communicating with other brands? I mean, Sony and some of your rivals are very famous for sort of having the closed ecosphere where you communicate very well with your own products, but not so well with others. Yeah. Do you see? Maybe it's not an area where you have, but does it talk to a thermostat? If Sony's not making a thermostat, does it work with your stove or your coffee maker or something?
This is very important because I mean, all the Sony phones today, the Sony smartphones today, they are based on Android, and I mean Android is also coming into other products in Sony, so we can use software of Sony, and this is also Android stuff. So we can actually do based on software. We can do the commonality. This does not only work with the Sony Xperia phones. This works with any Android phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. So it's not limited. So I mean, Sony is quite open to those things.
Yeah. So there's a precedent. So for the smart home, or even with the cars, as the displays in cars become much more advanced.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you could think about the Tesla as one example, but other
Teslas, of course, they are more a closed system today. So they have to open up, I think. But that's a different subject.
But that's down the line. Where do you see the design, the next step, sort of for wearables?
Well, of course, I cannot go into it, but you can imagine if we already have these kind of products. Of course, this is a very important area for Sony. What to do next on the wearables? It's an important area to have good products. Let's just put it that way.
Do you see the content? You talk about the smartphone still being central, but is the content for the phone going to be more cloud-based than stored?
Yeah. I mean, cloud is the way to do it. That's the easiest way to communicate between devices when it comes to content. Yeah. And of course, Sony is very much content-driven by companies like Sony Pictures and Sony Music, and we are building cloud. So cloud has been the basics for the PlayStation.
Yeah.
So that will continue that way. And now we have also then we have the for PlayStation we have also the streaming cloud. So it's a new solution as well.
So you're definitely moving that way.
Yes.
What about and this is something that all companies are facing is you get more and more user data back. What about privacy concerns? How are you addressing that at this particular time?
Well, I mean, of course, we all know the importance of privacy, and I mean, we are not doing it. We are not selling anything to advertising and so on. So it's a little bit different approach. But this is extremely important to have this in a controlled way.
Right. And certainly at the same time, you're not selling it to others, but you're able to get a lot of very useful data on your own consumers for your own products.
That should be for the benefit maybe of Sony, but also for the end user.
In what way?
Well, I mean, you can help the user, right? I mean, if you have context awareness, you know that this user normally makes a phone call at this time to his wife or something like that, and then you can, I mean, when you get into your car, for instance, and that can be immediately detected, and that. So there are a lot of these context awareness things that one can suggest to the user or even do.
All right. Well, Jan Uddenfeldt, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.